We have a really fun project here for making a tiny little campfire for your gnomes. But first, I have a question for you. What color is fire? Remember, of course, that fire is dangerous and to only use it with an adult. You might answer that based on what you see here. This is a little campfire we made in the Sierras while we were backpacking a few summers ago. And you can see that this fire, like all campfires, is more than one color. Or maybe you'll think about the colors in a candle. Now, it's not just one color, is it? At the base, what color do you see? Yeah, it's really blue. And then it gets a little oranger and then more yellow. And it can change depending on how the air is moving. Now here's another fire. This is fire from a Bunsen burner that's burning propane, and you can see that the base is very blue and the upper part is more yellow. The differences you're seeing in color here are because of temperature. The base, where it's very blue, is much hotter than the upper part that's yellow. These types of observations are the reason that scientists can tell the temperature of stars that are millions of light years away, trillions of miles. They can tell based on the color of a star how hot it is, where bluer stars are hotter and yellow and redder stars are cooler. Now, temperature is not the only reason that you can get different color flames. Another way is because something different is burning. Now, what happens if we add boric acid? Oh, it turns very bright green. So we have several different chemicals that will show you the flame tests for how they behave.
This is cobalt chloride, and it will give the flame a sort of sparky effect.
Oh, yeah. Whoa.
And if you get it in the right area, it will do almost a rainbow.
Wow, yes.
Oh, wow, yeah, that's cool.
I see it. Cobalt chloride.
Copper sulfate, and it's going to color the flame green.
So cool. Okay, here comes our last flame test.
This is lithium oxide, and it should color the flame red.
Whenever we do flame tests, I think about how this information can be used to make cool fireworks. So from learning about pyrotechnics to learning about how different color flames are different temperatures, that can help you learn about stars or about where to cook your marshmallow. Now, I thought it would be fun if we make some tiny little felt campfires. Here's how. So the first thing you'll need to do is gather some supplies. You'll need to tie a good knot in the end of your thread. We chose yellow, orange, and red because we just learned about how those colors are common in campfires. So you'll stitch together the ends of your different color flames. Remember that after you stitch together the two pieces of fabric, you'll need to stitch in about the same spot 2 or 3 times to keep it from coming unraveled. So of course, tangles happen, and the most important part is to not panic. You can often untangle it, and the worst thing that happens is you just snip it and start again, no big deal. So once you've got 2 pieces stitched together, you can just tie a new knot and stitch the last piece on. And while you're stitching your tiny gnome fire, you can be thinking about where you could make a little tiny gnome campfire scene that might entertain someone in your family. Sometimes people like to hide them somewhere so that people are surprised when they find them. We've heard a lot of very funny ideas as we've talked with different tinkerers who are making this project. Some people thought it would be funny to stick it in a cupboard, maybe where people get their cereal, and instead of finding their cereal, they'll first find a little group of gnomes who have set up camp in the cereal cupboard. So to make your campfire, you just roll those pieces together and it looks like a tiny little fire. Where else could you hide this to surprise someone? So after you make a couple of gnomes and your fire, you might also want to make some tiny little marshmallows for your gnomes to roast. You'll just need to go find a couple of little sticks and then just roll the white felt around your stick. And it really just takes a few stitches to get that marshmallow white felt to stay put on the end of your stick. So as you're stitching this, you can again be thinking, where could I put this to surprise someone? I had one tinkerer tell me that they plan to set theirs up in the shower. You have to be careful that somebody won't step on them and get hurt, but that would be very funny if you step into the shower in the morning and find a gnome campsite. Maybe you'll decide to set up your gnome campsite at the base of a potted plant, or maybe on the top dish in a stack of dishes. Here's another way to make your marshmallow. You can thread the needle through the end of the white felt first, and then when you go to stitch, you're already have your thread in there and you can stitch it around. Maybe your gnomes will set up camp on a windowsill or on the hearth near your fireplace. Here's a gnome joke. Why do gnomes like baseball so much? It's because they're always hitting gnome runs. Will your gnomes set up camp in the refrigerator? Freezer? Have fun!